too. And the reason for this meeting is for us to do the consent agenda on the previous minutes of our previous meeting. Can I get a motion for that?
So moved.
Seconded.
Board Clerk, will you call the roll, please, on that?
Absolutely. Director Clark,
Aye.
White,
Aye.
and Sailors.
Aye.
And President Sailors, just a formality, can we give the opportunity for public comment? I don't believe there's going to be any, but just in case there is.
Certainly, let's do that.
Art, could you give everyone the opportunity to unmute if
Yes, there's only one other attendee, Ms. Mahoney. If you would like to speak to the board, now would be a good time. I'm gonna guess she doesn't have anything to say.
thank you, Art.
Thank you. So our action item tonight is going over the guidelines for observing negotiations meetings. What we see here on the screen is the guidelines that we have come up with. Do I have any questions? Do we want to discuss this? Have all of you had a chance to look at these?
Yes. Through the council, it is important to follow the Brown Act guidelines. Can you, I mean, I know what they are, but I mean, to what extent do you have anything to kind of shed a little bit more light on that one, that sentence?
Is that directed?
Oh,
at
he's
Commissioner
muted. Yeah, he's muted.
Sorry. God,
Okay.
I hate when I do that. Yeah, I do. In fact, I've put together, I'm sorry, I just looked at this afternoon, but I was out and kind of unavailable Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But the Brown Act guidelines, I think this is in there. I didn't prepare this list of things, but I think it's in there to say, hey, look, just because you're there and you're observing, if it's one person or two persons or however many are there, you shouldn't go and when you're done, contact other board members and say, hey, I was at the negotiations. This is what happened. This happened, that happened, the other thing. Any of the discussions about your observations should be held only at a properly noticed public meeting so that you're not in a position of creating a serial meeting situation by passing information from one board member to the other. So I think that's the primary reason that that's there. It's a good thing to have there. I would recommend adding some clarification though to it so that it's there in writing and the policies or the practice is clear to the members who would be acting as observers.
All right. That was my concern. Another concern I have is a little clarification on taking notes for personal use to jog one's memory. I would imagine we have to be pretty careful about that also.
So when it comes to
For the
note
same
taking.
reason, you shouldn't pass those notes around. Those notes are, I think it says here, I'm trying to find it, but the notes are there to refresh your memory when you do pass the information along to other board members when you're meeting in closed session.
Right.
But those notes could become a public record. So
That's exactly what my concern.
because they're being created, not as part of the closed session, they're being created for your own personal use.
Yeah.
So I would suggest keeping those things at a minimum so that you don't trigger 522.
That's
anyway,
where I was going.
For that matter, but 522 in particular of doing a Public Records Act request for the notes.
That was because it's discoverable stuff, right? I mean,
Yeah, so you want to keep all of the information that you learn as a result of your observations only disclosed in the context of a closed session meeting with your labor negotiator.
Right.
So we can add the word take minimal notes for personal use to jog one's memory.
During
But-
closed session.
Well, under number 5, where it says take notes for personal use, we can add the word minimal to take
Mhm.
minimal notes.
And also another clarification, Council, because you mentioned maybe more than one board member. Is this thing limited to just one board member? Should we just limit it to one person, or?
I'm not recalling how the board discussed that at the last meeting, whether there'd be more than one member or not.
We discussed having one
One,
member.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right, so I wanted to make sure that we're specific, we are actually clear on that too. Because too many board members might just complicate this thing.
Well, and to keep it within the Brown Act, that's why. we
Well,
just
right.
have Only one member observe.
Yeah, I think it's used in plural here because it might not be the same board member every time.
Well, right, yeah, no, correct, yeah, all right. Thank you.
Can I just, and this is just food for thought, but in order to better, perhaps better clarify what the role of the observer would be, I put together some language, and my thinking is this. The board members, when they're acting in their legislative capacity as an elected legislative official under California law, has certain immunities that protect them legally from certain kinds of actions when they're acting in the role as a legislator. And if they leave that role as a legislator and begin acting in another role, then they may or may not have those particular immunities. So I wanted to try to make sure that an individual member who's an observer doesn't get caught up in some sort of litigation or other legal quandary arising out of their just basically sitting there and being an observer. And Director Sailors, if you don't mind, would you mind if I read for the members' consideration something to maybe add as item number 7
Certainly,
to the list?
certainly.
And it's just kind of to reinforce and clarify what's pretty much been said, but it says follows. Observers shall not participate in negotiations, make statements during the course of negotiations, offer advice or suggestions to negotiators before, during, or after any negotiation session, and will not discuss any aspects of the negotiations with any other board member outside a properly noticed public meeting. And that's what I would just throw out there for consideration as another item for this practice going forward.
I like it. I think that would be an excellent addition. How do you guys feel?
Oh, absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah, so if everyone agrees when the motion is made to approve this, we can make the motion subject to the statement that I just read, and I'll make sure the board clerk includes that in the practice that's submitted to the full board when it goes back.
Sounds wonderful.
So, Madam President, do we, because my understanding was that we were going to present this to the board tonight, closed session.
Well, I
Should
guess
we?
we have some amendments to make to it now.
Yeah,
Okay, and so we are going to send it to Council Lavra and let him make some amendments, and then we will present it at the next meeting. Is that okay with you?
That's okay with me. And I thought from the last meeting that the executive committee would get together, decide on what they felt was the appropriate practices to use for the observer, then but maybe I'm wrong, bring that back to the full board to approve.
Yes, that is our intent. But so, and tonight we are looking at the beginning of this language,
There you
and
go.
we were hoping to get it finalized tonight. But we still have, it sounds like we still need some work to be done on the language.
Right, because I think there is the expectation that we were supposed to present it. So I just wanted to clarify that.
It's not on the agenda in open session for tonight.
No, I meant when I said closed session, when,
Oh,
you
in
know,
closed session?
yeah,
It should actually be done in open session when we.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think that's the
Okay.
way it was left with the full board after the last meeting.
okay.
yeah. Yes. So is everyone okay with that, with where we are with this, where John cleans up some of the language and puts a number 7 on there with legal duties as observation?
I'm in total agreement.
Well, the other thing I would add, just so you know what you're voting on, is the last sentence of paragraph 6. Board members will be asked to bring observations to agendized meetings in closed session. I wanted to add that to it so that,
Oh, okay.
so that we're not discussing the observations in the actual observations in open session.
Right.
President Sailors,
Yes,
Director White, could I make a motion that we adopt this at the executive board level with the changes recommended by Council Lavra? And then that way we can move it towards, full board open session approval.
after Council Lavra has put the changes in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
So-
that clear to you, John?
Yes,
Yes.
I mean, I can get the changes to Melissa well in advance of the next meeting.
Okay, I'm good with all that.
Okay, so at this point, could I make a motion that we adopt this board policy at the executive level with the changes recommended by Council Lavra?
Yes, I will take that motion.
So, in other words, we're adopting this now with according to your motion, Director White.
At the
So
exec,
we don't need another meeting? We don't need to have
No.
another exec?
I believe it still needs to go to the full board.
Right, but
And
I'm saying, I'm thinking, do we need another executive committee meeting to, once we see the changes and it's clear or we just, basically move on with it?
You don't need to have another executive committee meeting if it's being voted on subject to the language that I read into the record.
Okay. All right.
And I think the rest is pretty clear. You're there to observe
Yeah.
and report at an agendized meeting to the full board.
Yeah.
So,
I just
okay.
wanted to make sure
Yeah.
I'm clear. And I understand exactly where we're going with it.
Okay. As long as everyone's clear, I will take a second.
Okay, second.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Director White,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
and Sailors.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. So, Council Lavra, I guess Melissa will be sending this over for you to clean up the language, and then we will see it in open meeting on the next agenda. Thank you for your suggestions and
Yeah, that sounds good. Or Melissa, I've got a copy of it here, so I'll just redline it or add it and have my assistant send it over to you.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay.
thank you very much, Council Lavra, for your help
Right.
with this. And if that's it, then I call this meeting adjourned.
Right.
Right.
We'll
See
see
you in a little
you.
bit.
Well, so we remain on through the policy committee, right, Melissa?
Yes, policy is scheduled to start here at 5:15.
That's correct. Yeah. Okay.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Gives me
Alright.
time to go feed the dog.